Hey guys, welcome back. It's been a little while since my Fantasia 2000 review, so hopefully you had a chance to watch it, or if you've already seen it, then you don't need to go back and watch it. So this is my first episode of A Closer Look, where if I have enough to talk about in the movie that is spoilery, so that would kind of ruin the experience for you if I just told you and you didn't see it for yourself. Uh, then I save it for this for a closer look instead of telling you about it in the actual review. So hopefully everybody, this is going to be filled with spoilers for Fantasia 2000. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it because it's awesome. Or if you don't care about spoilers, then let's plow right ahead. I'm going to be talking a little bit about the symbolism and imagery of some of the particular shorts that I really liked. Not all of them, but just a few that stood out to me. So with that said, let's get started. The first one is the opener, Beethoven's Fifth. I think Beethoven's Fifth. But it's the first one with the butterflies and the volcanoes erupting like the demonic butterflies. The symbolism for that to me is it seems to be that the beams of light coming out of the clouds are divine. That it's God or the gods or nature, whatever, is at the beginning you see the dun 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 and the light descends and either awakens or breathes life into the little butterflies. Or they look like butterflies. They're not. It's kind of abstract. So these things are created, but then a dark version of these little life forms erupts from the ground in a hellish fashion. So that's like in a mockery of the creation, which is a very Christian symbolism, like Satan rebelling against God by mocking what he made, corrupting it, and then at the end, when the divine powers come back with a bun dun 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 at the very end and call them back up into heaven, in a rapture like event, at the end of all the suffering, to bring it to a close. So that seemed to be that's what I got out of it, because it doesn't tell you. There are no words in Fantasia 2000, so you kind of have to take what you can from it. And that's a beautiful thing about the movie in general, is that this is what I got, but somebody else might get something different. And because it doesn't tell you exactly what it's supposed to be, it can be more to different people. And I really love that. Alright, the next one is, oh, by the way, the celebrity cameos. I didn't touch on this in the actual review, but I found them pretty funny, especially Steve Martin's. But if you didn't like them, I know celebrity cameos kind of annoy people sometimes. If you didn't like them, they don't last very long. Just kind of segue. So my thoughts on that, in case anybody was wondering. The second one with the whales that can fly. It's so weird, but also surprisingly really pretty. Now the symbolism I got out of that one was how the group of three, I'm going to say father, mother, son, or father, mother, child. You see this after the little bit with the child learning how to fly and experiencing how fun it is. You get this bit where one of the adult whales goes down back into the sea, and you see this huge long line of whales that are down, and they're very dim. They're like in the darkness, and they follow our main whales up into the air, something that you wouldn't think whales would be able to do, is fly, and leads them towards this goal. And that to me is a symbolism similar to like a prophet, like I'm going to use Buddhism here, like the Buddha, as if this leader whale or this trio of leader whales are the Buddha leading the masses through adversity to enlightenment, or like a prophet leading souls to heaven, and they fly through the air because it's not something that they thought they could do. It's not something they're supposed to do, and you're supposed to go through life, swimming, But I think that it's a beautiful symbolism that if you just look up and if you go where you didn't think you could go before, you and you pass through adversity. The adversity is the lightning storm, like the trials they have to go through, until finally reaching enlightenment or heaven or like peace, whatever you want to see it as. But it's far and away from where they would have been if they hadn't taken that risk and gone into the air. And I think that's really pretty. Um, okay, two more. Number one is The Sorcerer's Apprentice. This one's not super deep because it's kind of short, but I just think there's a neat lesson to be learned in the fact of the apprentice trying to take on the powers of the master before he's ready. It's like a kid playing with his dad's gun. It's a common story, but it's told really well here. Don't take on more than you can handle if you're not sure you can handle it, and don't be too sure of yourself, or else you can get yourself hurt. Like if the master wizard hadn't come back and saved Mickey, then we wouldn't have a very Disney ending. And the last one is my favorite besides the opener. The opener and the closer are my two favorites. It's the Song of the Firebird. Now, obviously, the Song of the Firebird, it's often equated with the cycle of the phoenix, and I think that that's really appropriate. How phoenixes are mythical creatures, if you don't know, that are birds made of fire, or that have fire powers. That at the end of their life they'll burst into flames, and then they'll rise again from the ashes anew. So it's like a cycle of life and death and life and death, either immortal or that gets their offspring coming up again. But that's it's kind of a nature symbol. You have winter, then spring, winter, then spring. Nature dips and rises and dips and rises. The same thing with forest fires and volcanoes. Volcanic soil and ashen soil is actually super fertile. So that new growth a lot of times comes out really well from ashy or volcanic soil. So that's kind of the obvious, obviously portrayed with the volcano destroying everything, but the nature coming back and even stronger than it was before. But I'm going to pose this to you guys. I say that the nature spirit in Song of the Firebird, I'm going to say the spirit of spring, because that's what she reminds me of, and the Firebird are either they're one and the same, or they're like yin and yang. They're dual spirits, and they are both the same kind of spirit but opposite. And one wouldn't be nearly as effective without the other. Without the fire, the forest wouldn't be able to grow big again. It wouldn't be able to be as great as it would be otherwise. And the fire would just be meaningless. It would make no change if it just erupted again and again on itself. The reason I say that they're dual spirits and not just enemies is because of the way they look when their wings spread out. Take a look at this picture right here. Notice the wings. Now take a look at this picture here. You see the similarities? They both have that same shape. They're both birds. There's the yin and the yang, the good and the bad, spring. So I'm not going to say spring and winter, but life and death. And I think that's a really pretty symbol. The duality of the fire and the growth of nature. She turns into rain at one point. The fire and the water. Now the other one that I really like is the symbol of the stag. That's the male deer with the antlers. I mean, I'm not trying to insult anybody's intelligence, but I didn't know what stag meant for a long time. So if anybody's watching this and doesn't know what stag meant, there you go. I found it really weird at first that an animal was guiding a spirit of nature. Why would a deer, like in the very beginning, it's winter and the stag calls out the spirit of spring. And then the stag survives the fire and comes back and tries to get her, or if it succeeds in getting her to come back and create new growth. Like, why would an animal be guiding nature when animals seem to fit into nature? And it's the only animal we see, I think. I think so. It's at least the only one that's prominently featured. And I remembered I had heard somewhere, and I looked this up, that stags are a lot of times are symbols for God. Especially in Christianity, a stag it's kind of like a lion. It's a lot of times a symbol for God, and so that makes a lot of sense. That this stag is a divine creature that is possibly a metaphor for God that calls upon the natural cycle and pushes it forward, kind of guiding it. And I think these things that I've listed are really it's really pretty that there's deeper meaning behind what looks to be just seems to be just some pretty moving pictures. Now that's what I got out of it. Now if you guys got anything different out of it, which I'm sure you did, leave it in the comments. I really want to hear it. I'm really happy that you guys joined me for this first episode of A Closer Look, and I'll see you next time. Bye.